What is my voiceover USP? Is it my amazing studio? Is it my powers of transformation? No, of course not. It's the cat. So running a business is about solving clients' pain points, and voiceover is no different. Whenever you get a first inquiry as a voiceover artist, the questions are normally going to involve: how soon can you get me the voice? How much is it going to cost? And how good is the final quality going to be? Implicitly asking for social proof, what your previous clients are, and what your recording setup is like as well. But aside from these fundamental areas, what else can we do in a client-centric way to really stand out from other voiceover actors? Well, I would start by saying that as more audio and voiceover content is actually being used by a whole variety of different companies and organizations, the traditional production pipeline of voiceover, going from voice talent to sound engineer to client, is being disrupted. A lot of startups are creating their own content rather than outsourcing it, and a lot of existing companies are bringing in their content creation and creating their own marketing departments. And these developments gives us as service providers an opportunity to cater to a whole host of new pain points as a result. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that you take your focus completely off voiceover and therefore dilute your main offering as a result. But having an appreciation that your narration doesn't exist purely in a vacuum and that you can actually offer lots of complementary services as well, that's what's going to make you really stand out from the crowd. I'd suggest that rather than purely focusing on those pretty obvious offerings that voiceovers should offer, i.e. really good recording quality and knowing how to act and being able to deliver fast, we should instead really think about those things that run parallel or are completely outside of our voiceover offering, which might also be useful for clients' needs. I'd start by brainstorming all the different types of tasks that you've had to execute, whether in voiceover or any other job that you might have previously. Then you could see if any of those other additional tasks that ostensibly have nothing to do with voiceover might actually relate to your client offering in some way. So just to list through a couple of very obvious offerings. Firstly, we obviously can record with our broadcast quality audio, etc, etc, etc. Secondly, we might be able to connect with people via Zoom or Source Connect or whatever so that people can give us live direction. So that's another valuable thing. And maybe if you can also include video direction when you're talking about remote setups, that might be a nice additional thing because some directors like to see what you're doing with your body. But then we can move on to something like editing. And normally, especially when you're starting out, you just want to keep things simple, make sure that you edit out any mistakes. But for example, I have a different set of racks that I've co-developed with other tutors, audio experts who know more than me, which I can then apply to my audio. So if they want a particular promo read or a particular type of narration read, then I can treat the audio in a way so that it's more ready to go. And obviously the vast majority of sound engineers out there want it as raw as possible, and that needs to be your number one priority. But having the option to offer more ready to go content, especially when you're dealing with clients who might not be able to afford an engineer, can actually be a fantastic direct offering. Are you comfortable enough to be able to quickly separate lots of different files and batch them in different folders? Because again, especially in the e-learning sphere, that's a really invaluable offering to be able to have, rather than having to rely on the instructional designer themselves to cut up the audio. Do you have any copywriting expertise that you can apply to a project? As voice actors, we need to appreciate what different types of copy are doing and how they're going about doing that. So we need an appreciation of form, of structure. Your copy feedback could therefore range from just solving the odd grammatical error to actually suggesting whole alternate sections, or actually even potentially offering full rewrites on certain areas as well. Maybe there isn't a clear enough sense of conflict before the script reaches its resolution. Maybe there's a missed opportunity for applying the rule of 3 when listing benefits. Or maybe there's just an unwarranted change of tense halfway through a script because it's gone through so many different layers of approval that it's kind of been hacked together. In which case, it's your job, or at least your offering, to be able to offer a solution to that. Video syncing and editing is another pretty obvious offering that not every voice actor has. Being able to test your voiceover recording with a video so that you are absolutely sure that it does sync when requested by a client can really save them time at their end. But in some projects, being able to go that one step further and actually edit the video so that they work together can really be helpful. In a recent project that I worked for, there was a video tutorial and some software, and the actual cursor that was going around on the screen was doing things much slower than it took me to actually narrate those actions. I was able to offer the client to edit the video myself, so I could speed up certain sections or cut some dead time at various bits in the video as well where nothing was happening on the screen, and then combine that with the voiceover that I'd naturally created so that I was able to give them a fully finished end product that didn't have any dead time and sounded natural as well. Consider if there are any opportunities to switch your hat from being a performer to being a director. In a lot of the corporate content that I work with, quite often there are talking heads and there are people who have very little experience of actually being on camera themselves or narrating things themselves, but it's thought of as adding extra value for them to authentically say certain bits themselves or to appear on screen themselves. So what I have sometimes been able to offer, in addition to my narration, is a bit of one-on-one training with people before they actually go in front of camera themselves. Things that they can do very physically or things to do vocally, just to bear in mind to make the whole process of filming much easier for them, depending on when you started. If you had a whole existing career before you moved into voice acting, then it's really your responsibility to make sure that your clients are aware of it. If you worked in law, if you worked in the medical area, if you worked in hospitality, then for clients who also operate in those spheres, you're going to be able to communicate with even greater authority because you're really truly understanding all of the minutiae of what you're talking about. And also, maybe you're a vocal specialist in some way. Maybe you're an exceptional opera singer, or maybe you're a heavy metal vocalist. Again, making people aware of this pretty exceptional or unusual skill set, not one that people would naturally assume when they're booking a corporate narration, might be able to open up their ideas about the type of content that they may be able to create, making it a bit more collaborative. It's inarguable that the more you have a fuller understanding of the whole process and what other people are doing, that's only going to inform your decisions that much more in terms of your vocal delivery, and at the base level it's going to make you a better voiceover artist, even if you decide not to be bold enough to make other explicit offerings. Yes, for some voiceover artists it's all about just hitting record, doing your thing and then moving to the next job. But in an increasingly competitive area, finding these opportunities to really cultivate a USP I think is vitally important so you can keep that momentum going as well. I hope you've enjoyed this video as ever. If so, please do like, subscribe and share the word, and do feel free to add a comment below if there's anything else that you can think of as a voiceover offering as well. Thank you so much for your time and I look forward to seeing you next week.